Hey everyone, this is PM Sports Talk, the father and son duo podcast. I'm your host Preston, alongside my father Mike and Dad. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. We had an interesting week of sports, non-football kind of in a sort of way weekend, but I'm ready to get into it. We got a big one coming up this weekend.
Oh yeah, we're going to save that for last though. I'm ready to get into some college basketball. It's about that time of year. It's almost that time of year. March is just around the corner. We are about a month away almost.
Yes, March Madness, the next big sporting event for us to kind of get lost into for a couple weeks, 3 weeks or so. Yeah, I can't wait. I've been watching quite a bit of college basketball, especially this past weekend. And your favorite team is looking pretty good right now.
That would be them, the North Carolina Tar Heels, led by R.J. Davis. But they just had a huge game against the Duke Blue Devils this week. Of course, the biggest rivalry in college basketball by far. And it wasn't R.J. Davis carrying the load on offense. It wasn't Armando Bacot carrying the load on offense. I'm saying it is Harrison Ingram, baby. He is on a tear.
What a game he had.
He is on a tear this week. ACC Player of the Week, and it just looks from up from here. And another last thing before I let you go, Armando Bacot absolutely shut down Kyle Filipowski, and I love to see it. I hate that dude.
Yeah, he's a hard guy to root for, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It's bad enough he plays for Duke, but then he's got a little edge to him that makes it even more special when he gets beat. I hate Duke. I've always hated Duke. It's just one of those teams that I hated because they always won. And, they're not as good now that Krzyzewski's not there, but you can tell they're still going to be pretty good every year. Shire's got them going in the right direction. But, yeah, Filipowski, easy dude to root against, and I was glad to see Bacot, kind of shut him down. And Harris English,
English.
He was Harrison English, right? English?
Harrison Ingram.
Ingram. Why am I saying English? I'm having a hard time speaking today. He was outstanding from 3-point. He got the pass, and that ball was out of his hand. It was such an awesome game. He just played so well. R.J. Davis gets all the focus on that team, and he kind of he still ended up with his points in the end.
Right.
But for most of that game, he didn't do a lot. He was running the show, but he wasn't scoring. And it was up to the other guys, and they came through in a big way. And, yeah, like you said, that's a lot of people would say that might be the biggest college rivalry, period, not just basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those people. I still say Michigan-Ohio State football is the biggest rivalry.
Right.
But a lot of people will say that's the biggest one. And like you said, by far the biggest one in college basketball.
Not even close.
Not even close. They play twice a year, and they're probably the two. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they're probably the two top-rated games of the regular season in college basketball. I don't think there's any doubt in that. Everybody can't wait to see those games. Even when one of the teams isn't that good, it's still a great game.
Right.
Because like last year, North Carolina wasn't that good, but those games were still good. There was a lot of fervor there, a lot of passion, I should say. I don't remember how those games ended up last year, but I know the passion was there from the fans, and it's a lot like like Pittsburgh and Baltimore in football, NFL. When one of those teams is bad, doesn't matter. The game is still a big time rivalry, and that's the same with that. And
goes for a lot of rivalries in sports. But yeah, like you said, the other guys stepped up. This North Carolina team is stacked with role players. Elliot Cadeau, freshman, he is in the starting lineup. He's been good. Seth Trimble off the bench, he's been amazing. Cormac Ryan can give you some offense. He's a little shaky on defense, but he still gives you that good offense. But yeah, it was just a great win for UNC. Filipowski, such a weird name to say, but he got shut down by Armando Bacot, and it was just a great game to see.
It was great. And, most of the time, those two teams aren't bad. Like I was saying, when one's bad, they're good. The game's still good. But more often than not, both teams are really good.
Right.
That's probably the best. You could probably say that's probably why it might be the best rivalry, is because those teams are almost always good.
Yeah.
It's very rare for one of them to be bad.
They're usually running the ACC, and if the NCAA as a whole.
And a couple years ago, they were both in the Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they played.
They played in the Final Four. So, yeah, it's just a great rivalry. Nothing better. North Carolina and Duke. This year, I'm going to say that North Carolina has a very good chance to win the national title. I don't think Duke does, but I think North Carolina does. I could see them there. I'm not going to pick them to win it, but I would not be shocked at all if they're there at the end. That team has got players all over the place. So my pick as of right now, from what I've seen and what I watched this weekend, would be the UConn Huskies to go back-to-back.
I'm saying it's either UConn or UNC winning it all this year. I don't think anyone who, how would it work? I mean, if they stay where they are right now, it just depends, I guess, where they put them. But I would love to see those two meet up in the national championship. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be great. Two great programs like that. I mean, it'd be awesome to see.
It'd pretty much be like a 1 versus 1 or 1 versus 2.
They're both projected to be 1 seeds.
Yeah,
so,
but people are going to look at that and be like, oh, the best teams are in there. But you're getting a great game out of that.
They're already saying, the NCAA tournament upsets happen all the time.
Right,
so,
yeah.
But if you're just forecasting from a month away, those are the two teams you got to pick. Kansas, they're a little bit shaky. I just don't think they can. I mean, you never know, but they just don't seem like they're a good enough shooting team to me. UConn, another big game this past weekend, they played St. John's, who's trying to little resurgence with Rick Pitino as their coach this year, trying to get back to the glory days. And it was Madison Square Garden Saturday at noon. That place was hopping. It was a very good game until, halfway through the second, and then UConn pulled away. And what impressed me so much with UConn was their top scorer didn't play that game. And they still pulled away and won quite easily at the end.
Who's their top scorer?
It's Caravan.
Really?
He's their top scorer this year. But
oh, that team's loaded, though. I mean, you got...
That's why I say he's not their best player, because...
It's either Newton. It's probably Newton, actually, or Klingent, or...
They have Klingen, who's not their best player, but he's the big guy in the middle.
Newton.
He's not either.
Who is?
You know who their best player is?
Who?
Stefan Castle, the rookie, who's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft this coming year.
Really?
And the reason you haven't heard much of him is because he's coming off an injury. But he played this game, 25 points, made it look so easy. I knew he was on the team, but in the other games that I've watched, he wasn't this impressive. And when I found out from watching this game that I didn't know, I knew he was a rookie, a freshman and all that. I didn't realize how hyped he was. I didn't realize the announcers were saying, hey, this guy is a lottery pick. He's just getting healthy now. This is just the beginning. You're starting to see the real Stefan Castle. And so I didn't realize that. But after watching him on Saturday, I'm like, whoa, this guy is good. And that's what I mean with this team. They are loaded. They don't have a weakness.
UConn, yeah. They didn't last year either. They didn't really lose anyone. They lost Sonogo.
They lost some guys.
Andre Jackson, right? And he was good.
Did you forget about their best player,
Who?
Hawkins?
Oh, Hawkins, right.
They lost 3 NBA players. All 3 of those guys are on NBA rosters. 2 of them are playing right now.
That shows you recruiting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and another guy I didn't mention that's playing that was a transfer from Rutgers is Spencer. He's their shooter.
Mm-hmm. He's like their Hawkins. So.
Yeah, he I forget his first name, Sampson or something like that.
Okay.
Spencer.
Yeah.
He scored over 20 points this week. He made 5 out of 7 3-pointers. I mean, just automatic. And yeah, that team is loaded. So if they don't get to the Final Four, it's a big upset. Plus, from what they were saying, where the NCAA tournament is, I think they said Massachusetts would be their first weekend, and then if they made it farther, they'd end up playing the regional final in Brooklyn. Well, if you don't know this, UConn basically Madison Square Garden, Brooklyn. It's like their home turf. St. John's is the New York City school, but UConn, with their success lately, has kind of taken over New York City. So it's like those would be home games for them, and they could ride that right through the Final Four. So yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I mean, I probably would be rooting for them because I like the way they play. I mean, I'm not gonna root for them against St. John's, but against anybody else, I probably will root for them because I've always liked UConn in a way, and I don't see any reason why they won't get there this year. Unless there's a big time upset. You
talk about March Madness with all the upsets and stuff. I mean, you look at last year; it shows a great example. UConn, right? They were there. They were supposed to be there. A lot of people had them. But you look at the other teams, and you're like, I didn't expect them there. San Diego State, FAU, and Miami.
Yeah, and those three teams were not supposed to be there. No. So that's what you mean. You just never know. Purdue was supposed to be there. We'll see what Purdue does. Everybody's saying this Purdue team, which again is ranked number 2 now, I think, in the country. They were 1. But they've been like ranked 1 or 2 the last 2 years straight. And last year they got beat out in was it the first round or second round? First round.
FDU.
The year before, I think it was the first or second round.
And they lost to St. Peter's the year before, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, second round, I think. First round, maybe. So they have a lot to prove.
Second round.
Yeah.
Or third. It was the second or third. I remember because St. Peter's would beat Kentucky in the first round and Murray State in the second or third, one of the two.
Yeah. So anyway, they have a lot to prove. So they're a lot of people's pick to get there too, but they've been everybody's pick to get there the last couple years, and they haven't got there. So you just never know. But if I was a betting man, UConn would be the team that I would bet on, and probably Carolina second. And then from there, there's usually going to be some upsets. So there's going to be somebody in there that you don't expect. And we'll have to wait and see who that's going to be this year. But I think it'll be a great tournament because I think when you take away those 2 or 3 top teams, I think the rest of college basketball is pretty balanced. I think anybody can beat anybody. So it's going to be very interesting. With the transfer portal and NIL and all that, it's even the playing field, kind of. So, I think it'll be an awesome tournament once again. And I expect upsets, but I don't expect those top 2. I think they'll be there.
Okay, so you're saying Carolina, UConn, Final Four.
I would say unless there's just a big injury or something that changes things. Yeah, as of right now, those 2 teams I would expect to be there, but the rest of it, I think it's up in the air.
Interesting. Purdue, I like that you mentioned them. Their best player is Zach Edey. I mean, do you see anyone else like it's pretty much Zach Edey and shooters, yeah. Spot up shooters.
Yeah.
I mean, like you look at all their guys, they can make free throws. They have obviously have good free throw percentages, and then you got like defensive guys. I mean, Zach Edey is your reliable guy, and if a team finds out how to shut him down,
well, that's what they did last year.
Exactly.
I think they just double teamed him or triple teamed him and made the other guys try to beat him, and that's how they got beat.
Yeah.
He's not a great. If he gets inside, yeah, he's gonna score, but he's not a big time shooter or anything like that. Like some of these big guys are. Unless he's gotten better this year. He's gonna score, within 10. 8-10 feet from the basket and in. So if you can control that, then yeah.
He's better from the line this year, I know that. But I'd love to see if Zach Edey came to college a little earlier. Imagine UCF versus Purdue. Taco Fall against Zach Edey. They would not be having as much success if they had like somebody like that facing them.
No, he would have got shut down because Fall was just he was even bigger than him. He was just a monster.
7'6".
Crazy. That's what it'd be interesting to see like Purdue play UConn with Klingon against him.
Oh, Klingon.
That would be very interesting. Klingon's a very good defensive player, but he does get in foul trouble a lot. That's the only issue with him. So he's not refined yet. But I think that'd be very interesting. I'd still would pick UConn to win that one, but because I think their overall team is better. But
right.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll have to see what happens, but yeah, I can't wait. Like I said, it's about a month away, and it gets rolling, and That is, there was a guy on sports the other day talking about how the Super Bowl is one of the biggest events of the season as far as betting and all that, and gambling and all that, and just people watching on TV. But he said, you know what the biggest one is? It's the NCAA tournament. It's actually bigger than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 64 teams in it because there's so much you have to consider with college basketball. It's a little bit different than football.
It's the bracket thing too. You got people, you got just anybody. Everybody's doing it. They're doing it at their office. They're doing it at their place of work, having pool office pools and all this, and then ESPN challenge thing, and all that. It's just a big deal, and everybody does it. So,
do you think anyone will ever get a perfect bracket? Not when we're alive.
I doubt. I mean, I guess it could happen, but I doubt it.
But yeah, just can't wait for Greg Gumbel to come on TV and announce it so we can make our brackets.
Yeah, it's just fun because you can follow along and see how you did, how you picked the teams. It's pretty good. We'll have to maybe do something on that one of our episodes before that.
Definitely. We aren't just gonna go over the tournament in UNC. I want to go over. You broke down the St. John's game. UNC has a big game today against Clemson, who is 14-7. They put up a good fight against Duke, but they lost to a controversial foul call on Tyrese Proctor. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see that. There's a couple good games coming up. Your St. John's played today, right, against DePaul?
Yeah, that should not be a close game at all. DePaul's horrible.
This is St. John's chance to get that momentum and get back on track.
They gotta get back because they were projected to be in the tournament, and now they're not. So their recent losing skid has them just outside. They're picked like one of the last teams not to get in.
So they just need to win.
They need a win, and then they need to get some more wins and do decent in the Big East tournament, win a game or two.
Right. So is their schedule tough after this game?
It is. They play Marquette next.
Oh, great.
Who's also, I think, top 10 ranked.
They did lose by only 3 points, I believe.
They lost by
2.
By 1 point to Marquette.
Really?
And they lost by 1 point to Creighton.
Against Marquette, they got the look they wanted for the game winner, too. They got it into the middle of the court to Soriano. Who was that guy with the dreadlocks who shoots?
Oh, it was Jenkins.
Yeah, Jenkins. He had a good look at it. He was pretty much wide open.
They had two or three. They should have won the game. They had 2 or 3 chances to win it, and then they just couldn't make a shot.
Right.
I think they're a year. It's so tough. I want to say they're a year away, but a lot of these players they have now won't be there next year either. So I think Pitino has to. It's his first year. He's one of those guys that's a really good recruiter.
Right.
But it's a little different now than when he was the top dog. But then it was all recruiting. Now it's transfers and stuff too.
Transfer portal.
So it's a little different because like Jenkins won't be there next year. There's a couple other guys in that, like Soriano won't be there next year. There are a couple guys there that will be.
He's your guy, Soriano.
Yeah, he's good. He's good, but he's a little overrated, I think. But he's still good. He's decent. But yeah,
isn't he your best player though? I mean,
he's their inside player, but I think Jenkins is probably their best player. But
yeah, it's either him or Jenkins.
Yeah, they don't win. They don't win without Jenkins. Soriano, they can win without, but yeah. So they might be a year away, but it'd be awesome if they could get back in there. You know, when New York City's team is in the tournament, it's always good for college basketball. Plus, when they're good, you know, the Big East tournament is pretty good too when they're good there. So we'll see, but yeah, it's all UConn right now for me. They're the best team.
Well, we're gonna stick with basketball, but we're going to the pros. NBA.
Some big news.
Joel Embiid is out for 4 weeks with a meniscus injury.
Philadelphia has already dropped way down the standings.
Right.
They're down to what, 5th or 6th?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to keep dropping. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I still think they'll still make the playoffs, but they're not going to be, they might be in a play-in round, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see them dropping that low without him.
Yeah, I mean, Maxey is pretty much Maxey and Tobias Harris. That's who you got. You're going to have Paul Reed starting at center. That's what you're looking at right there.
Yeah, so that team's really going to drop. Even when he comes back, I mean, he's out for 4 weeks. I mean, he's not like he's going to be great. He's not going to be playing full game or anything. So
he's probably going to be restricted on minutes
and stuff like that. So who knows? Their season might be, I mean, not that I expected them to do anything anyway, but this might be a lost year for that team.
Yeah. Another thing I want to go on to, and it's in the East, the Bucks. How they are off to a rocky start with Doc Rivers in the Doc Rivers era.
Yeah, what are they, like 1-2 or 1-3?
Yeah, they've only won one game under him.
And why is he coaching in the All-Star game?
That's what I was going to mention. Yeah, Missoula can't because he would coach the team last year, but there's so much more options. I mean, I'd probably take any coach that has a winning record in the East over him.
He shouldn't be allowed. He's only coached 3 games. I mean,
exactly.
Why is he allowed to coach in the All-Star game?
Tom Thibodeau is a good option.
Yeah, somebody. So the guy that coached in it last year can't coach in it the next year? Is that a rule?
That's a rule, yeah.
That's pretty dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that. I mean, don't you want I always thought it was the top coach in each league of the team in the league coached in the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's a pretty dumb rule.
Shouldn't it always be the top guy?
And, I mean, I don't even know if I agree with... I mean, the Timberwolves coaches, I think Timberwolves or OKC is the top coach in the West, but I don't think Chris Finch should be the coach either. He is not a good coach. He just has a good roster. That's what it is to me. Yeah,
but you got to reward the coach if that team's number one.
I'm taking OKC's coach over him.
Yeah, he probably is a better coach, but you have to go by whoever the team that's better. Well, at the time when they decide to pick who was ever in first place, right?
Doc Rivers isn't the best right now.
No.
So
that's stupid. NBA does some stupid things anyway. That's why I love college basketball way more. The NBA they just annoy me. They just do things that are annoying.
I agree.
The players are annoying. They don't play. They only want to play 60 games. They get paid to play 82. They only want to play 60. They just have this, we'll see in the playoffs attitude. They don't. Fans are paying money to go see these superstars.
Right.
They only come to their town like once or twice a year, and then they sit out the game. And meanwhile, these guys paid all this money for their tickets.
And they've made rules to try to stop this.
That's a 65
what's
game
it called?
rule.
What's it called? The
load management.
Load management. Right. I mean, it's pretty freaking obvious. Joel Embiid didn't want to play it in Denver. That's why he sat out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty obvious. I mean, you're not hiding it.
Even though the Lakers beat the Celtics last week, LeBron and Anthony Davis sit out when it's the Lakers against the Celtics.
That's
the only time they're going there.
They play the next game.
Yeah. That's the only time they're going to Boston. That's the biggest rivalry in NBA all-time rivalry is the Celtics and the Lakers.
That's pretty sad.
And they can't play in that game.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And they did, I'm going to be frankly honest with you, they did better without him.
Yeah, they won the game, so it looks smart on their part, but the fans didn't want to see Austin Reeves. They want to see LeBron James. I mean,
Austin Reeves they see as this up-and-coming player, but obviously you want to see LeBron or AD. Yeah.
I would have been peed off if I had bought tickets for a game like that I had to drive 6 hours to go watch. And then you find out, because you got to buy the tickets in advance, and then you find out the day before that they're not going to play because they just want to sit out. That would really annoy me. I'd be so mad if I was a fan. I mean, that's the problem. That's why you can't get into the NBA. As far as me, I get into it. I watch it at playoff time. It's exciting, but it's really hard during the regular season because of what those players do. They never used to do this. Michael Jordan played 80 games a year. He might miss 1 or 2 games a year, and that's it. Mm. If he wasn't hurt, he didn't miss any. He'd play the whole season if he didn't have any nagging injury at all. I can only imagine the injuries that he played with. And guess what? This whole load management thing was started by Gregg Popovich.
Oh, my gosh, of course.
With Tim Duncan.
Right.
He started it all. And
It's ridiculous.
it's
ruining the game.
It's not proven one iota that it reduces injury at all.
It's ruining the game.
Because you have guys that sit out that are still getting hurt. So
Right.
it's not doing anything. So why don't you just play?
That is just bad.
It's not like they're playing every night.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And to play a game that they love to play, I know it's a grind. I know it's a job for them. I understand that. But it's just unbelievable. You only have to play 80 games a year.
I mean, I get it if you want to sit out for like a game, maybe 2, but you don't need to sit out for the whole season.
You don't need to sit out 15, 20 games.
Yeah,
That's just stupid.
Yep.
It's ruined the regular season. Nobody. These big games, you see it. You look at the TV schedule, and you're like, oh, Golden State's going to play, or not Golden State. Denver's going to play Boston, or Boston's going to play the Lakers, or whatever. You're like, oh, I'm going to put that on the calendar. I'm going to watch that game on Thursday night, and then you find out that half the players aren't playing. So it's like, why do you even bother?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think one of the teams that doesn't do it, the load management crap, is the Celtics.
They are. Those guys play. I give them credit. And guess what? They're not getting hurt any more than anybody else.
And they're the best team in the league.
Right.
By far. Well,
So-
not by far, but you know what I mean.
They are.
The
Record-wise, they are.
Record-wise, I'm saying. But like But yeah, it's ridiculous. The load management crap needs to stop, and Adam Silver needs to put more punishment down because it's clearly not
Charles
doing anything.
Charles Barkley said the other day, he's like, 65. He goes, I thought it should have been 70. That would have been, even that, he said, is bad, but at least it's something. There was somebody he was getting on. I forget who it was, but I like Charles Barkley's comments when it comes to that because he's right on. He gives it to those players all the time about the loads management thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to open up the season, he was saying, they were talking to Adam Silver about it, or it was opening up the in-season tournament, and Barkley's saying, if you're not hurt, if you're healthy, get up and play.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't get it. That's just the modern athlete. I mean, football players don't do that. I understand they don't play 80 games; they only play 18.
I mean, they're pretty much putting up they're playing 17 games now in the regular season, and they're probably putting their body on the line more than those NBA players.
Oh, definitely. And they play every game that they're paid to play, unless they are so hurt they can't walk.
And I don't think MLB players do that much either.
They don't sit out a lot of games. I mean, they play 162 games too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, they get time off too, but not that much. Not as much as NBA players do. I mean, they get time off if they're injured, but
yeah, before we move on to our Super Bowl topic, I want to just talk about the All-Star events that are going on. So it's pretty cool that they're going to have Steph Curry go against Sabrina Ionescu. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she's in the WNBA, and they're going to do a one-on-one three-point contest match because Steph Curry, obviously the greatest shooter we've ever seen, and Sabrina is the leading has the highest score in three-point contest history in the WNBA. So it's pretty interesting.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Might add some viewers to that because I don't think there's a lot of people watching that either. So
Right.
yeah, I'd be interested. I'd watch that. I mean, is that are they still having the normal 3-point or just that?
Yes, they're having the normal three-point.
And then just him against her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the dunk contest participants are announced. How about Mac McClung, Jaime Jaquez Jr., rookie for Miami, Jacob Toppin in the G League, Mac McClung's in the G League as well, and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's participating in the dunk contest.
At least you got one. So you got G League players in the dunk contest.
Yeah, well, they had McClung last year too, but he was lighting it up. He won the whole thing.
Yeah, I know he was good, but still, how do you get riled up to watch G League players in the NBA slam dunk contest?
I don't know. It's so much more different than Michael Jordan versus Wilkins
Used
back
to
in the
have
day.
superstars doing this. Now they can't do that either.
Kobe, Vince Carter, one of the best dunkers.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Spud Webb.
Oh, Spud Webb. What was he, like 5'9"?
Yeah, he's real short. It was awesome. I used to watch it. I used to like to watch it. And
I'd probably rather watch the three-point contest at this point.
I mean, you had very notable players in both 3-point and slam dunk. And then I feel like this all started with LeBron again. With LeBron not doing it, and then so none of these guys do it now.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just ridiculous.
way to represent your sport, I guess.
All right. Well, with time running short here, it's time to get into the Super Bowl talk. The week of the Super Bowl. Sunday, we have the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. What do we think, Dad?
Well, I think it's going to be a very good game.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty evenly matched. Wouldn't be shocked if either one wins. I give the edge to Kansas City strictly because of the quarterback and the coach. I think they have the best coach and the best quarterback.
I'm gonna say this right now. The 49ers, if they want to win this game, if they want to bring a championship to the San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan, they need to go out there and punch Kansas City in the throat. No more of these Brock Purdy slow starts, interceptions. It can't happen. It can't happen against this team.
No, they need to get the lead. If they fall behind,
I'm not confident. I'm not.
they can't do like they did against Detroit. No.
Oh, no. Because if Mahomes gets that sort of lead in the first half, it's over.
It's gone.
It's
Forget
done.
It. You're playing a better defense, too. This is a better defense than Detroit has.
Yeah, I mean, you got
all pros on this defense.
cornerbacks like McDuffie, Snead. You got pressure from Karlaftis, Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, and Tranquil. Great tacklers at that linebacker position. They are loaded, and it would be hard.
Justin Reed at safety.
Justin Reed, right?
That defense is loaded. They have that one injury which is going to hurt them, Charles Amenahu.
Oh, right.
He's another big pass rusher that could hurt him a little bit. But, yeah, they cannot get behind. If I was Kyle Shanahan, I know this sounds crazy. If I won the toss, I'd almost take the ball and try to score right away.
Really?
I know it's crazy. You want to have that ball in the second half kickoff, but, man, part of me is like, take that ball, go down and score.
But if you lose the coin toss, that may be good for you too.
Yeah, because then you get the ball. Because Kansas City is gonna defer.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not worried.
So, yeah, like I said, Purdy has got to get off to a good start. If he's nervous and, like you said, throws a couple interceptions, not going to be good. Because that's the one thing about Kansas City. These teams, like I said, are fairly evenly matched. But Kansas City is a seasoned team. They've been here and done that.
Right.
Pretty much all these guys have been here. Were on this team last year that won it. There's very few changes, I think. Right. That whole defense for the most part.
Yeah, you don't have much different ads. I mean, obviously you
got a few guys, but
yeah,
it's basically the same team that won it last year.
I mean, a guy that's been huge for Kansas City. I mean, the rookie Rashee Rice, he's been amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been playing. Everyone's been saying, "Oh, it's only Kelsey." No, he's been there at the receiver position. He's been good all year long. And then you got Scantling. I like Scantling's story. He dropped that huge pass in the regular season against Philadelphia. Then against Baltimore, they trust him to seal the game, and he makes that incredible catch.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, he's come on lately. Yeah, their other tight end there is pretty decent too.
Noah Gray.
Then they got Watson.
Justin Watson.
He's a pretty good receiver. So, yeah, and those guys were there last year, except for Rice, who's a rookie, but those other guys were there last year. I don't think they're going to feel pressure. I think all the pressure is on the Niners, and especially on Shanahan, because he's lost the last time against Kansas City. He's lost twice as a coordinator in the Super Bowl. He's got a lot of pressure on him. This team needs to win. So Purdy, he seems, when you watch him, his demeanor is, he doesn't look like a guy that gets rattled. But when you watch his play in the playoffs in the first halves, he was a little rattled. His play was rattled.
Right.
His demeanor isn't. He doesn't seem like he doesn't show emotion. He's not one of those guys. But when he was playing, he seemed like a little unsure of things in the first half of both games. And if he's unsure against the Chiefs, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. So let's get our predictions going here. Dad, score, winner, what are we thinking? How is this game going to go?
I think your first half, I think the Chiefs are going to have a lead. I think it's going to be a small lead because then I think it's going to be probably something. That's one thing with Super Bowls. The scores are always wacky. There's always some weird scores. You could have like a 12-10 first half or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll say Chiefs ahead in the first half, low scoring, kind of, 13-10, 12-10, something like that.
That's what I'm thinking, 13-10 in the first half.
And then I think the Niners might get their bearings, go ahead. But then I think Patrick Mahomes does it again, gives the Chiefs the victory, takes over the game in the fourth quarter. I'll say Chiefs, I'm going to say 23-21.
Okay. I'm going to have to go with I just think the Chiefs, the experience at the quarterback position is going to make all the difference. Mahomes and the Chiefs win this game. We're going to say 27-23.
Yeah, I can see, that's a good score. I see it. It's how I see it going down. Logic says that's how it's going to go down. Sometimes, Super Bowl logic goes out the window, so you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was a betting man, that's how I would do it. Plus, the Niners are favored, so which is very weird to me. Why are the Niners favored? It's only a point or a point and a half, but why are the Niners favored? I just don't get that.
No, man.
Why is anybody favored over Patrick Mahomes, especially this team that
they just never learn? That's what it is.
That should have lost to the Lions. But anyway, yeah, I like Kansas City in a close one. Patrick Mahomes is the difference in two very even teams, except at the quarterback position.
All right, there you have it. There is our Super Bowl predictions for this episode. We thank you all for watching this episode of PM Sport Talk. Remember, subscribe to us on YouTube. We are so close to 5,000. Can't thank you guys enough. But next week on the podcast, we are starting some new things with our off season. So expect great things from this podcast. We're going to keep content coming and just can't wait to show it to you guys. I am Preston once again, signing off with my father, Mike. Have a good one. Have a good Super Bowl Sunday. We'll see you next week.
Hey, if you like what you see, you can subscribe down below and you can listen to our podcast at any time. And also, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach us at pmsporttalk@gmail.com. Also coming soon is a website. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.